So this build is going to be based off Kazuya from Tekken. Getting into the build, and the main weapon I'm going to be using is going to be the dry leaf arts. This is the closest thing in the game to Tekken's fighting style. And I made it lightning affinity to match the Tekken aesthetic. The Asha War we're going to be using with it is going to be Blink Bolt, so we can copy electrics from Tekken. Like electrics, it even has defensive capabilities. You can dodge attacks with it, like how in Tekken you can dodge highs sometimes with electrics. The seal we're going to be using is going to be the Frenzy Flame seal. It doesn't really matter what seal you use, all of them are going to be fine. But this is going to be a little bit better than the others because we are using one Frenzied Flame spell in our build. The armor we're going to be using doesn't really have any effect on the build. This is just the best pieces I could find to make us look like Kazuya. The pieces are Ansbach's attire altered, the Prey Perfumer gloves, and the Preceptor's trousers. Kazuya hits really hard, so we're going to want to use talismans that make us do more damage. The first one we're going to use is going to be the Shattered Stone Talisman. This doesn't increase our attack power on the screen, but when we attack with our basic attacks, it's going to make us do 10% more damage each attack. The Rod and Wing Sword Insignia is going to be the second talisman, and it's going to basically do the same thing. When we chain our basic attacks together, it's going to increase the power of the changed attacks. The Blue Dancer Charm is going to be our third talisman. We're wearing very light armor and our weapons are also very light, so our equip load is really low. So this is going to give us a really good damage boost. The last talisman is going to be the Two-Headed Turtle Talisman. We're going to be attacking a lot with this build, so the stamina regen from this is going to be really good. You can definitely swap this out if you need to. If you're having trouble with the hard-hitting boss, I recommend using a defense talisman, like the Great Shield or one of the element ones. For our physic, we're going to use the Lightning Shrouded character. Since our Dry Leaf Arts is Lightning Affinity, this is going to boost our damage quite a bit. And the second one is going to be the Thorny Crack tier. This does the same thing as the Wing Sword Insignia. When we chain our basic attacks together, it's going to make them deal even more damage. We're going to be using two spells with this build. We're going to be using Noble Presence to imitate Kazuya's Shakui, and we're going to be using Frenzied Burst to imitate Kazuya's lasers. As for the stats, for damage you want to prioritize Dex since that's what Dry Leaf Art scales off, and you want to have at least 26 Faith since that's what you need to use both spells. You don't need any Intelligence or Arcane in this build, and you need very little Endurance. The equipment is so light, and especially if you have Twin Turtle Talisman on, you'll pretty much never run out of stamina. I recommend putting at least a couple points into mine so you can use Blink Bolt and the two spells much more freely. And for Vigor, have it at whatever level you're comfortable with. I recommend at least 40 for late game and DLC, since the bosses do hit very hard. If you want to look like Kazuya in devil form, there's unfortunately not really anything in the game to give us wings, but you can use the Lamenter's Mask to kind of look like his devil form. To use the Lamenter's Mask, you do have to be butt naked. Or you could just make Kazuya blue.